Everybody says it is for real. May I take a step into a time and space of peace and possibility? And here I'm gonna stay until I find my place, my true divinity. Higher consciousness. Let's go higher, higher in our consciousness. Let's go higher, higher consciousness. Let's go higher, come on, in our consciousness. Let's go higher. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with just one step and one idea. I'm moving on, not knowing what is coming next. I'm getting close, I'm getting near to a part of me that touches everything, uniting all reality. I'm the middle between what earth and heaven brings. I am the I am the we.
Greetings, beloved family, and thank you all once again for being here with us this evening on Occult Science Radio. I'm Curtis Davis, a.k.a. the Illuminated One, and tonight we have back with us for the second time, family, a brother who, when he was here the first time, it was off the chain. I mean, this brother has so much to offer, and if you didn't catch the first show, then go into the archives and it is there. And he also has a successful radio show of his own, but this is going to be a powerful evening. This is a brother that you are going to be seeing on Occult Science Radio time and time again. And for those of you who are unaware of whom I'm referring to, I'm referring to Brother Yuya Assaan-ANU. He is the head spiritual guide and counselor of the Anu Nation Spiritual Order and head instructor and head Jegna of the Sadulu House Spiritual Center. So this is going to be a very, very powerful evening. Now, having said all of that, it is time for me to step aside and welcome back our beloved brother, Brother Assaan-ANU. Welcome back, brother.
Thank you, good brother. Thank you for having me back in the space again, and as well to your listeners for having me in this space to share with you all. I'm glad to be back.
Oh, yes, brother. The last time you were here, it was an experience. And when I take a look at the topic for this evening, I'm just going to sit back and listen to the groundbreaking, mind-blowing information that you have for us this evening. Tonight's topic is Gods and Rituals Wanted, Dead or Alive. Powerful. And with that, I'm going to step aside, brother.
Okay. Well, I have to say, to the listening audience that this is not necessarily a structured lecture as of yet that I've been working on, but when I spoke to Brother Curtis recently about doing the show, and, I was asked for a topic. I had one topic in mind, and then this kind of came forth that this is what needed to be spoken about. So I'm just going to share what I feel in the communities of the occult right now, and those especially who are coming into a new level of spiritual understanding, who are just kind of waking up to their consciousness and to kind of knowing that there's maybe a little bit more out here than that lies beneath the surface or what they've been told. I think there's an elephant in the room that we don't really speak too much out of fear of blasphemy. The other elephant, when we speak about the blasphemy of some of the supposed superstition that lies in the communities of those who are reaching back to understand ancient and indigenous ways and sciences. And one of the issues that I'm finding that's coming up consistently with those I work with and those who reach out to me for information is that there's this perpetual hankering and need to recreate and reproduce things that were done in ancient times in order to gather and manifest some level of ancient glory. And this is somewhat problematic, and I'll explain what that means, especially as we relate it to the idea of dead gods. For most, unfortunately, when queried about what God is or the nature of God, you get a lot of hollow and ambiguous answers because many don't really know. But they feel that innately there's something that they should be worshiping. Innately there's something that should be over them, something that should be lording over them, or something that they innately need to connect themselves back to, as dictated by the word religion, meaning to bind back. So to bind back to something that is better than what you're currently seeing yourself. And unfortunately, the cliche of oftentimes the grass is greener on the other side really holds true here. When we like to look back and think about ancient history, we neglect, the fact that ancient history is nothing but one person's perspective. Okay, so we can create a perspective of glorious times and perfection that existed in ancient times, and more importantly, ancient and archaic spirituality. And that's not usually the case. One thing that we have to understand is that when the Creator appears on the planet, the Creator appears with the mind of a child, with the mind of an evolving child. Okay? And usually at the moment when the Creator decides to dissolve its physical and corporeal body off the planet, it leaves with the mind of a child. Okay? So it's always that wonderment and that awe and that wow that the Creator comes with and returns with. Okay? Very similar to, I'll paraphrase the phrase, know thyself. And, the other part of that is know thyself, old man, because in doing so, you shall know God. Now, many are probably familiar with that statement as it's one that is etched on many temples in Tamir and now really River Valley civilizations and shrines and temples. But it's important to understand something. Know thyself, old man. Okay, that's the key piece here, old man. Because obviously the person being spoken to here is that God form that fell into the darkness of melanin and was wrapped in flesh. And that is the only entity that's really aging. That's the only entity that is held down and trapped by the gravitational pull of time. Okay, so once we understand that, and we understand that really all we're doing here in many senses is aging while our soul is evolving, when you're reaching back for these archaic or these ancient deities, not to say that you shouldn't understand them, but when you're reaching back to recreate this old ancient spiritual culture, you're reaching back to something that no longer has the attention of the Godhead that you're trying to connect to anymore. Okay, you're reaching back to something that's been evolved from. And if you were supposed to be reaching back to that, you would have manifested on the planet at that time. Okay, so when I speak about the elephant in the room, there's no secret, especially amongst the metaphysical community and the occult community, that many have a disdain for what we'll call some of the more purist and traditional, like African traditions, such as the Akan and Yoruba. And many look at it as, backward sciences, and the fact that there are blood sacrifices at times, and there are things, there's constantly an exchange of energy in order to receive something from the energies that are being worked with. Okay, whether it be Orisha, Lawal, or Nkiti, or whatever energy that you're working with. And it's kind of important to understand that there are various levels that you can contact a deity at. There are various levels, okay? And at certain levels, based on your expectations and your desires, that deity will treat you like a child, okay? It is up to you to awaken and realize that God is an evolving force. Most people, when they consider God, they they only can associate it with their mother. Now, I did a show on this some time ago, speaking about the nature of God. And what often happens is that when humans are born, they have a maternal figure, most often. And that maternal figure provides everything that human needs, okay? This is when we get into the energy of the Orisha Yemoja, okay, or Yegi Omo Eja. And what she represents is instantaneous healing, but also one who has the ability, such as the crab, the cancer crab in the zodiac, one who has the ability to take out their claws and bring resources into the shell. So that Yemoja, or that maternal energy, brings resources that are needed into that formulating child. So what happens is, once that separation is realized from the maternal energy with that child, it now looks for something to provide the same type of experience. And that experience is basically to be here whenever I need someone here, whenever I cry out to answer and hear my plea, to hear my cry, oh Lord. Okay? So now that becomes your association with that God energy. Now, an important piece to that is first to realize this. Just as one told you that your maternal energy is the most important thing in your life, you know, this was a cultural idea that was imposed and imbued into you. One also told you that this concept and the idea of God is supposed to be important to you. It's as important as the word love, without ever really mentioning that these are really just de facto statements that are created by social constructs. The word God or the word love. Why is it so important that we understand these words? Why is it so important that we connect to that energy? Did you ever feel that word held so much weight when you were 5 or 6 years old? You know, depending, again, of course, on your upbringing. But again, the lack of acknowledgement of how we all perceive, the different perceptions of what this energy is supposed to be, is what becomes our leg iron, is what becomes our shackle, and prevents us from proper ascension. So because we still have this idea of this maternal figure who's supposed to answer, who's supposed to be in heaven crying, we relate that now to all of our even our spiritual, our metaphysical, even when we come back into our awakening, we relate that same concept to all of the new energies that we connect with. So if it's Oshun, when something happens to us, we feel Oshun is sad because somebody threw a bicycle in a river or somebody's polluting a lake. So Oshun is somewhere crying because we take the anthropomorphized character and concept a bit too far. Not understanding that we're dealing with indifferent energy matrix who are looking to evolve. And the only way these natural earth energies can evolve is through your own evolution and realization of you as a Godhead. Okay? And when you're able to kill the gods, okay, very similar to movies like Clash of the Titans, okay, or even Ragnarok. Okay, if anybody's familiar with Nordic mythology. But it's this idea, and we even have it in our Orisha tradition. There's stories about when Ogun was given 21 weapons, and with those 21 weapons, he went and killed all of the other Orisha. And this is when the new Orisha came forth and were born. This is an old Yoruba story. But again, we have this idea of killing off of this god or of this perception of those who should influence us. Now, many of you know about the energy Ogun. O means owner, and Gun means herbs. So Ogun means the owner of herbs, which also means the owner of vitality. Okay, so his colors being red, he represents activated power. Okay, because red is the color of Ashe, or power, once it activates. Black is the color of Odu, when power or Ashe or Chi or Prana is at its restful state. Okay, and there is an energy that we have that's over that energy by the name of Oduduwa, which means the womb of the black woman, Oduduwa. Okay, so when we have Ogun activated, or our Ogun, which is the heart chakra. Ogun lives in the heart chakra. When that heart chakra is enlivened and activated, and you know that heart chakra is the last stop off before you get to the higher realms where you're coming into your own guru state or your own God state. And once that happens and Ogun activates, he actually then kills off his peers. He kills off his peers because at that moment you realize that there has to be a changing of the guard. No different from Anpu changing guard to Asor, okay? Or no different from Ogun becoming Shango and then becoming Obatala. So that's going from red and white, and then to white. Okay, and Obatala, of course, we know, for those who are familiar with Orisha tradition, is the king of all Orisha. One of his names is Orishanla. Orishanla means the most revered or highest father of all Orisha. Okay, because once you get to the Obatala aspect, you have now left the earth. Okay, with Obatala, who is also associated with the planet Jupiter, or the Netir Ptah. Okay, Obatala represents the energy of omnipresence. Okay, but not just omnipresence, the creative spark of movement, the creative spark of evolution is Obatala. Okay, so one of the issues, and we're getting again touching upon this idea of the dead gods concept, is that we get stuck dealing with deities that our heart chakra is already calling us to kill off in order for us to evolve to the next place in our learning and to the next place in our understanding. So what happens is, long as we stay with these stepping stones, okay, and these stepping stones are no different than your chakra wheels. Each Orisha, each Neteru, each earthly or cosmic evolutionary energy relates and lives within your own chakra ladder. Okay? And we forget that the chakras are nothing but prisms. We look at them as these wonderful tools, wheels that we can open up and feel so many things, and that they are wonderful. And from a corporeal reality, it's wonderful to feel, it's wonderful to be open, but that's an illusion. Okay? Real openness and real feeling and breaking wide open has nothing to do with the feeling, has nothing to do with the endocrine system, okay, which the chakras deal with. It goes much further and higher than that. And these are all the things that we need to kill off in order to truly step into line and motion and rhythm with the evolving supreme intelligence. So now, one may ask, am I saying that we should not study ancient deities, we should not study ancient archetypes, we should not study ancient spiritual systems? No, I'm not saying that. We do that for the same reason that we engage in any Sankofian journey, so that we can benchmark and write a passage that we've gone through. But we have to understand that if our ancestors have constantly been working with these energies for billions of years, if they've been working with these energies for billions of years, is it really efficient, or it doesn't even make sense for us to do the exact same thing? So what happens in dealing with these old energies in the ways that we tend to, we now develop an entire system of dead, hollow, and useless rituals. Okay? We develop a system of useless rituals where none of them place us at the center of the ceremonial experience. Okay, so what's happening now is that there's a reversal of the energies, whereas for many, many years, as we were children, before we were really truly standing erect in our auric bodies, we were sending all of our ashe up to the heavens. And we were sending all of our ashe up to the heavens so that our life subcontext would be heaven's intentions. Okay? So our live subcontext would be heaven's intention, so we send all of our ashe and our power back up to heaven. Okay, it's like the Christians say, when the praises go up, the blessings come down. So we sent all of our prayers, all of our fears, all of our burdens to the fifth dimension. But with this shift, and the shift, remember, it's just a shadow symbol of what's already occurred in the spiritual world. With this shift, the opposite now occurs. Heaven now sends all of its praise, energy, and ashe into the bodies of the gods who are walking on the planet. Those are the gods who are alive. Now, in this tradition, or in the Yoruba tradition, who controls the, I guess if anybody knows about electricity, you have what's called step-down transformers. And what a step-down transformer is when you have power coming from, let's say it's 120 volts of power, which is a lot, and let's say you want to run your cell phone battery charger, so you don't want everything that's coming off that power line to go into your cell phone because it'll blow your cell phone up. So what you have is called the step-down transformers, where it steps the power down in stages so that it's now weakened enough so that it won't blow up the devices in your home. Okay? So if you can look at your nervous system as the devices, we have an energy that deals with bringing that power down, and that's the energy that we know as Eshu, or some people also call him Elegba. Okay? And Elegba or Eshu deals with our nervous system, and more importantly, it is said that he holds Ashe, the Ashe of humans or the universe, and a calabash. Okay? Now, the calabash represents your head. It not only represents the cosmos, but it represents your head. So Eshu holding the Ashe, or the power of the universe, it all exists within your head. The step-down transformer is inside of your brain. So the power is already being pushed down from heaven, but your brain serves as a cosmic gateway to determine whether you're going to be imbued with that power or not. So when you're still imagining and thinking and working with God from the perspective of God is my mother, hearing my pleas and hearing my cries, then Eshu, or the brain, or what we know in the Kabbalic system to be Hod, or what we know to be in the Kemetic system to be Set, or Loki, or Pan, or Pineal. Pineal is the same thing. These are all those gateways, or those entities, Lucifer, Christ, that exist at the crossroads. And at the crossroads, they determine how much power and energy you will receive from heaven, because it's all sitting there waiting for you. So it's not that you're waiting on the gods to arrive, or you're waiting on the gods to hear your call, or you're waiting on the gods to reveal yourself. The gods are waiting on you to reveal yourself so you can kill them off. And then at that point, you'll be dealing with one entity known as the independent phenomenon. And Yoruba, in our system, Eshu is known as the independent phenomenon, and Eshu is actually you. Okay? But Eshu is that mental ability. The brain is a cosmic gateway. It can either block your power, or it can open it up full wide so that you can walk the earth as an evolved and a new alive God. Okay? Now I can keep going on this, Brother Curtis. I don't know if you want to...
Oh, please, brother, please continue. This is some powerful information here. Don't you dare stop.
Okay. I got to make sure I'm not your time here. Okay. One of the reasons that Eshu, Elegba, Loki, Pan, if you look at mythology throughout the years, they're always depicted as a trickster. Even Lucero, when you have the Apollo system, he's called Lucero. Of course, we know that's coming from Lucifer, right? But he's always seen as this trickster character, right? When we read the story of Set and Osir, when Set was able to trick Osir or Osiris to get into a coffin to see if he fit it. Again, it's that trickster aspect. What that really is that's the Eshu, the Elegba energy, trying to really get you to ask yourself, is this something that I want? Am I ready to be a spiritual revolutionary? And what is a spiritual revolutionary? A revolutionary is one who's crossed the point of no return and can't come back. Okay? That's the person who puts themselves at the ritualistic experience. When you can sit and say, you know what? Thank you, Oshun. Thank you, Ogun. Thank you, Shango. Thank you, Yemoja. Thank you, Oya. But I don't need you anymore. I'll call you when I want you. That's a hard decision to make, because that would be pretty lonely for most people, because now you don't have anybody to pray to. So it's a very lonely experience that starts now. But the reality is, in order to get to that next place of evolution that the Supreme Intelligence, or as we call in tradition, Oludumare, is trying to push itself to, you have to get to that point. You have to get to the point where you can finally say to your spiritual ego, it's just me, myself, and I have an individual mission, and I have to fulfill that mission, and it has nothing to do with worshiping stair steps. Once I get to the top of the steps, I'd be a fool to now go down and prostrate and worship the steps for the rest of my life. And I'm not saying to disrespect the Orisha. What I'm speaking about is the energy that they represent and the desire that they have to hoist you up to your higher place. Once you understand that, and once you understand that over the billions of years that your ancestors have been working with these energies, they've been able to imbue and impart these energies inside of your frame. This is what Orisha initiation is. The energy matrix of these Orisha is opened and put inside of your physical bio-spiritual makeup. Okay, it's implanted inside of you. Let's just say after so many years, back then up until this point, that your ancestors were able to orchestrate that imbuing or that initiation from a spiritual place, so that what had to once been done by man's hands, with them sharing their ashe with you in order for you to be initiated or have contact with these higher beings, they were able to do over time, doing the dances, the pyramids, the clothes that were worn, the language. This was all a slow initiation over millions of years, to the point that they were able to now to deposit each Orisha inside of you. So if that's the case, then the Orisha would probably want you to go to the next step beyond the astral plane so that you can take them with you. But as long as you sit worshiping them and prostrating, after you've gone past your initiation, after you've gone up your steps, after you've climbed Jacob's ladder or the spine, after you've gone that place, you're leaving them and keeping them earthbound. And that's not their desire. Their desire is to be up in the holiest of holies. Their desire is to be up back home with Oludumare in a place that they've never been. Okay? Because the Orisha, again, live on a certain plane of existence, which is below the highest heavens of heaven. Each Orisha, each cosmic archetype, each cosmic energy has its own heaven and has its own hell. Okay? And the desire, even though they don't have conscious will, the conscious will that they're able to attach to is your soul. Your soul is your conscious will. They don't have conscious will. They only have character of expression. That's it. Okay? So Ogun can't change its mind one day and say, hey, I'm going to do this today. Today, now I'm going to be over rivers and lakes. I know I'm over iron, but I'm over rivers and lakes today. It doesn't work like that for Ogun. But once Ogun attaches to your Ori, and your Ori now offers Ogun the potential possibilities, of infinite possibilities, through the transmutation of Ojiji, or electromagnetic energy, now Ogun has the opportunity to be something other than a militaristic deity of iron and blood. Because your conscious will can recreate a new contract with Ogun. Just like your conscious will can renegotiate a new contract with Anpu. Your conscious will can renegotiate a new contract with Shango or Ilegba or Pampagira. These are new contracts that can be renegotiated once you come into that Ori energy or that soul energy, and you go to that highest step through the work that you're doing, whether it be your breathing, your crystals, whatever you're doing to get there. I'm not going to say that there's a certain track that everybody has to take, because that would be a lie. That would be a function of religion. But the key is, and what we're speaking about here, is the dead rituals and the dead gods, and that's the elephant in the room, and they're wanted dead or alive, because we have such an intrinsic pull for something, whether it works or whether it doesn't work. We have an intrinsic pull to worship something, and that's the addictive master-slave relationship that many of us are having trouble